What's going on, everyone? I'm Retropolitics, and today we're here to talk about a TikTok made by Black Belt Babe in reaction to the horrendous atrocity that happened to George Floyd. So without further ado, let's get right into this video.
Wow, this is nothing but straight facts.
Okay, first of all, why is this chick holding a bat like she just got out of rioting and looting? And what do you mean by y'all?
A lot of y'all are vocal about the looting, but silent about the murder.
Not really. Most people are mad about both. We're mad at how this cop killed, George Floyd for just merely being intoxicated, and this was far beyond the cop's reach by putting his knee on his neck and killing them through suffocation. And we're also mad at the fact that people aren't solving this peacefully through peaceful protests, but instead damaging and looting other people's private property and destroying other cities like Los Angeles and Minneapolis.
Let's go over something. We're gonna call this series White People Rioting for No Reason.
Wow, you really had to make this about race, huh?
Ready? Let's go! Exhibit 1, which is right here, rioting after a surf competition. Exhibit 2, rioting after their football game lost. Exhibit 3, rioting after their baseball team won. Next exhibit, rioting because their hockey team lost. Next exhibit, rioting after their favorite coach lost their job because he ignored child sexual abuse. Another exhibit, rioting because their baseball team won. Wow! So as you can see with this exhibit, this is nothing but facts. White people riot to get haircuts and because their team won or lost. We riot because the police are killing.
Are you dumb, stupid, or dumb?
Okay, so before I start picking apart this entire video and all of its flaws, I think the first thing that we should mention is that peaceful protest is completely fine. However, I don't think anyone in here, in the United States, and also everyone watching this video is in support of violent protest. It's kind of the reason why we're making this a big deal. No one likes the idea that these people are looting and are, creating violence in the streets and are also destroying other people's private property. No one agrees with that, and that's why we're making it a big issue. And not to mention, in these riots, it's not just African Americans that are, advocating for this. It's also white Americans as well. And to say that supposedly white people start riots over stupider things, and so it's okay for you to start a violent riot over something significant, doesn't make the riot any more better than any of the other riots. If anything, it just goes to show that you don't understand the basic means of knowledge or logic at all. And the first thing that you need to understand when it comes down to this concept is that just because someone does something bad doesn't mean that you can do something bad. Just like what Gandhi said, an eye for an eye just makes the world go blind. And what needs to happen is not violence in the streets. What needs to happen is that justice needs to be served in the court of law, and an investigation has to be put forward to make sure that this police officer not only just gets discharged, but goes to jail for manslaughter. Because that's exactly what happened in this situation. And a little fun fact, Derek Chauvin, the white officer everyone keeps mentioning, was not the only officer responsible for George Floyd's death. There was actually 4 officers that were responsible. That one of those officers was Asian.
Oh my god, my kid brother's been shot! I think it was an Asian gang or something. I saw someone, he looked Asian, and he was speaking another language. I'm pretty sure it was...
So, here's my question. If you want to go on, let's say, Instagram and other social media platforms and start demonizing white people and saying that white people start all these riots, how about you start demonizing Asian people as well? Because it seems like the only targets in which the media likes to put, the main target on, or other, people on social media and influencers are mainly white people. But yet they don't mention how also the Asian officer that was involved in that killing was also one of the main factors that led to his death, which is completely ridiculous and just goes to show where their priorities are. And if you really want to play this game of blaming other ethnic groups for being more aggressive and violent than others, then let's look at some crime stats. According to the US Census Bureau and FBI, while African Americans only cover 12% of the population, they commit 53% of murders, 54% of robberies, 25% of arson, 28% of vandalism, 37% of violent crimes, and the list goes on and on. Moreover, on a serious note, I understand that the crime stats are skewed due to the fact of socioeconomic reasons, and that the Asian officer didn't lead to Floyd's death, or wasn't actually the main factor leading to Floyd's death. But being completely negligent of a situation like this makes you a part of the problem, especially if it's going to lead to the death of another person. In conclusion, in times like these, we shouldn't divide within ourselves through violent discourse, but rather come together and make a fair decision through civil discourse, not blaming and bashing one another based on politics, race, or ethnicity. And we need to come to some kind of agreement that does not require a violent action, but rather a civil one.